Right now, somewhere in a room you've never been in, someone is stopping mid-sentence because it suddenly feels like they've lived this exact moment before. The same words, the same light through the window, the same stranger's laugh. It lasts maybe 2 seconds. Then it's gone, and they shake their head and keep talking. You've felt this too. Almost everyone has. But for most of human history, nobody could explain it. And for a long time, scientists didn't even try. It was treated as a curiosity, a trick of a tired mind, not worth studying seriously. That changed. And what researchers eventually found wasn't just an explanation for a strange feeling. It was proof that your brain is running a security check on your own memory every single moment without you ever knowing it. Let's start with the name, because even that took a while to arrive. The term déjà vu, French for already seen, was coined in 1876 by a philosopher named Émile Boirac in a letter to a science journal. Before that, people described the feeling however they could, as premonition, as a glimpse of a past life, as evidence of the soul remembering something it shouldn't. For decades, psychologists mostly ignored it. Sigmund Freud had a theory that déjà vu was a repressed memory resurfacing in disguise, but he had no way to test it, and neither did anyone else. The feeling was too fast, too random.
He found it peaks between the ages of 15 and 25, then steadily declines as people get older, which is strange because memory itself tends to get worse with age, not better. He also found it happens more often when people are tired, stressed, or traveling to unfamiliar places, exactly the conditions where your brain is processing the most new information at once. But surveys could only tell you who felt it and when. They couldn't tell you what was actually happening inside the skull. That required catching déjà vu in the act. In 2016, a cognitive neuroscientist named Akira O'Connor at the University of St. Andrews figured out a way to trigger something close to déjà vu inside an MRI scanner. He used a memory trick borrowed from false memory research, feeding participants lists of closely related words like bed, pillow, blanket, and yawn, without ever showing them the word most people expect, sleep. Later, when asked whether they'd heard the word sleep, many participants said yes, even though they hadn't, and some described the eerie, unsettled feeling of being certain they recognized something they'd never actually seen. While this was happening, O'Connor was watching their brains in real time. And here's what's fascinating. The areas lighting up weren't the regions tied to memory itself, the hippocampus, the areas that store and retrieve what actually happened to you. Instead, the activity was concentrated in the frontal lobe, the part of the brain responsible for decision-making and conflict resolution. Your frontal cortex appeared to be checking your memory for errors, comparing what you were experiencing against what was actually stored, and flagging a mismatch. Déjà vu, in other words, might not be a memory at all. It might be the feeling of your brain catching itself, almost making a mistake, and telling you about it. That reframes the entire experience. You're not remembering the past. You're watching your own memory system perform a background check. And for a split second, that background check leaks into your conscious awareness. But there was another clue, one that came decades earlier, from an entirely different direction: brain surgery. In the 1950s, a neurosurgeon named Wilder Penfield at the Montreal Neurological Institute was operating on patients with severe epilepsy. And to map their brains safely, he stimulated different regions with a mild electrical current while the patients were awake. When he touched certain points in the temporal lobe, near a structure called the rhinal cortex, patients suddenly reported the exact sensation: a wave of overwhelming familiarity, the certainty they had lived this precise moment before. Penfield hadn't set out to study déjà vu. He'd accidentally triggered it with an electrode. Decades later, researchers confirmed that patients with temporal lobe epilepsy experience déjà vu far more often than the general population, sometimes as a warning sign right before a seizure begins. In those patients, the rhinal cortex, the same region responsible for judging whether something feels familiar, was misfiring, sending a false signal of recognition completely disconnected from actual memory. So the epilepsy patients and O'Connor's scanner participants were pointing at the same mechanism from two different angles. Déjà vu isn't your soul remembering a past life. It's a familiarity signal firing when it shouldn't, and your frontal lobe noticing the glitch almost instantly. And here's the part nobody talks about. This glitch might not be a flaw at all. Some researchers, including psychologist Anne Cleary at Colorado State University, have run experiments using virtual reality environments built to share the same spatial layout as other scenes. A garden with the same arrangement as a junkyard, a different room with the same relative positions of furniture, without people.
Her participants reported déjà vu at significantly higher rates in these secretly matched scenes, and many of them even felt a strange pull, a sense they knew what was coming next, even though they couldn't say what it was. That suggests déjà vu might actually be a form of quiet intelligence, your brain detecting a real pattern buried too deep for conscious memory to reach, and surfacing just enough of a signal to make you pay attention. Not a malfunction, a save file your memory can't quite open. So the next time it happens, the room goes quiet for a second, the feeling washes over you, and then vanishes before you can hold on to it, you aren't glimpsing another life, and you aren't malfunctioning. You're catching your own brain in the act, running a check you were never meant to see, on a system built over millions of years to keep you one step ahead of a world it has never fully seen before.
Thank you for watching my video. See you later. Like it if you liked it. Subscribe for more. Did you have déjà vu? Write in the comments.